Welcome to this 15-month update of living and recovering from Ramsay Hunt Syndrome. I have a few things to share on this update. I'm going to talk about dry needling, continued challenges of synkinesis, and thoughts on patients. If you're watching this before September 2026, I want to give a heads up about an event that's going on in September. On September 19th, 2026, the Ramsay Hunt Syndrome Foundation has the Ramsay Hunt Syndrome Foundation Patient Support Summit. It's in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I'm planning on going. I hope to learn some things, continue to progress my recovery. Maybe I'll see you there. There's a link to it in the description. The big update from this video is around dry needling. I've been doing facial therapy for about 10 months now. And my facial therapist, this last session, I just had a lot of tightness of dealing with a lot of synkinesis. And she was like, "Do you want to try dry needling?" She had just done some training. And I was like, "Why not? Let's do it." So we did a session of dry needling. I've been doing acupuncture since month one, and I think it's been okay, but I'm not sure. But I can tell you dry needling made a huge impact. So I've had a lot of tightness, especially in my cheek, my forehead, my lip, and we were like trying to find tight and sore spots. And it was a little different in that it was a lot more painful than acupuncture. Acupuncture, there's a prick and it's not too bad, but this could be downright painful. And she called it, I think, threading or pumping, where she was just kind of agitating the nerve. At one point, my lip was quivering, but what happened is I released a ton of the tension. It was amazing. Of all the treatments I've had over the last year, this was a huge difference after versus before. I liked it so much, I went back 2 weeks later, got another session. I wasn't as tight, so it wasn't as impactful, but this was a tremendous treatment. Highly recommend it to those that are dealing with tightness, synkinesis. It just really relaxed my face. I mentioned in my last video that I'm looking at Botox. That's still on the calendar. Unfortunately, it's not scheduled for a few weeks. So watch the next video. I'll tell you how it goes. As I mentioned, synkinesis has been really tough now. I feel like my face has been tighter. I feel like my eye hasn't closed as much. And the other problem is constant watering. So one of the things you'll notice here is I've got this little red mark on my eye. It's kind of dry skin. My eye will water, particularly when I eat, sometimes just for no reason. And I think it trickles down and it's just creating abrasion on that lower eyelid. And it's gotten quite sore. I'm assuming it's the salt in the tears. So I've been trying a lot of different creams and oils and whatever. The best thing I found is a tallow and honey balm. I'm not sure what it is, cream or whatever, that just is very soothing. But yeah, this is a new thing I'm dealing with, is just soreness on the skin from all the tearing. And the synkinesis is a challenge. My facial therapist, we went to the dry needling just to try something different and slow things down and try and relax the muscles. So let's take a look and see where the palsy is at. So I'm going to go ahead and raise my eyebrow. So you can see this is the good side. This is the parallel side. And you can see the synkinesis. I raise the upper eye on the good eye and it causes this. But I'm not really getting much of a raise. My therapist says I'm getting a little bit of a raise here, but I don't really see it. I'm going to go ahead and close the eyes. I do feel at the greater synkinesis, my close has been a little bit softer, but the dry needling really helped that. So here is a soft close, and here's a tight close. I will flare the nostrils. I can raise it really well on this side. When I try and raise this, it also closes my eye. So, I mean, I guess you squint both ways, but you're not seeing the crease. You're not really seeing the raise. We'll go ahead and smile. A little trick I've found is if I try and raise my good eye, it'll raise the lip a little bit. Whistle? I don't know if I'm ever going to whistle. Not that I ever could. And we'll puff the cheeks. I can't really fully seal right here. There's still a little bit of a gap. So I don't feel like there's been a lot of change in the palsy. The nice thing is when I'm talking just with a neutral expression or just sitting there with a neutral expression, nobody tends to notice. It's only when I'm really expressive, go, I guess that looks okay. But if I smile, it's just weird or raise an eyebrow. I don't know. This is always going to be the skeptical side, I suppose. On a physical but also mental health front, I've felt a little stuck as my progress has slowed down. It's been a little bit of a tax. And I've also gotten stuck in just physical activity. I got busy with work, really slowed down my exercise. Tiredness and fatigue is still an issue, although not as bad as a year ago, even 6 months ago. And I just get tired of it and kind of got back into gear, and it's felt good. Even though my balance is a little bit off, I'm trying to build some fitness again for the first time since getting ill. And it's gotten so bad that I'm having to go really gradually. I'm 51, so I can't just go pedal to the metal, but I'm trying to put some effort into it. Who knows? Maybe even run a race later this year. I haven't ran a race for a long time due to some injuries and then subsequently Ramsay Hunt Syndrome. But I'm trying to put a little bit of mileage on running, trying to lift some weights, ride the stationary bike. We'll see what happens. On the note of mental health, it's just good to go out and do things. I did go on a camping trip and got on my mountain bike with my daughter. I wasn't really even thinking about it, but I was like, oh man, we're going to be riding around. And I did okay to the point that I was like, I think I might want to get a new bike. I don't know if I'm ready to do anything really gnarly, but just going around some easy trails wasn't too bad. I also went to a concert with my youngest son, a Rush concert, and it was very loud. And I still have tinnitus and a lot of ringing in my ear. And after that concert, I think the good ear was feeling it too, although it wasn't necessarily ringing. Forgot to bring some decibel reducing earplugs and I felt it. Maybe not so much in this ear, in the ringing ear, but I'm sure it wasn't good for it. The more important thing is I was able to go do something fun with my son, which I couldn't have done a year ago. As a final thought, I was thinking about as I'm kind of stuck and trying to slog to this next phase of recovery. I stumbled across a scripture that I really liked. In Hebrews 12:1, it says, "Let us run with patience the race that is set before us." Now, I love this because I'm a runner, but I also like it because it's telling us to run with patience. I kind of know what it means to run with patience, especially getting older. You have to slow down, you can't burn it out. But going through this metaphorical recovery journey, this really a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual journey, there is this element of learning to run with patience. The challenge of not recovering quickly, the challenge of ongoing issues can be frustrating. And I've just got to learn to run this race with patience. This is the race that's been set for me, for many of you that are watching this video. I don't know if this race comes to an end with a full recovery. I'm still pushing for better recovery. I'm still trying to address some of these long-term issues. And some of these issues are just going to be issues I will continue to have to live with and adapt with. And I'm feeling pretty good so far. But it does get a little frustrating at times and it does get a little bit discouraging. What I'm trying to remind myself is I can do these things. I can continue to live as much of a life as I want to. And part of what I'm feeling in this last month is a desire to push myself a little bit harder. Maybe not in the recovery. The recovery is coming as it's coming, but just in terms of living life and enjoying life as best possible. So that's this month's update. I'll see you on the next one.